Hello everyone. Today we are here to discuss the concept of industrial relation. As we look upon the term industrial relation, means we are going to discuss about the various kind of relationship that we can see in an organizational context. But before moving on to the session, first of all, the things that we are going to cover in the whole session, or we can say that our learning objective would be the first one. We are going to discuss the relationship between HRM and the various kind of employment practices that goes on in the organization. I'll also discuss an overview of the employment relationship that goes on in the organization. Moreover, I will discuss the relationship between employees and employers, how the relationship is, how it should be while considering in the context of organization, and overall how to manage a good relationship within an industry so that the smooth functioning of any organization can take place. So discussing the concept of industrial relation, as earlier also I have said that industrial relation basically comprises of two words, that is industry and relation. When we talk about the industry, basically it is a kind of productive activity in which an individual or we can say that a group of individuals are engaged. Whereas when we talk about the relation, it means the relationship that exists within the parties, the various parties that are in the organization. When we talk about the organization, there are employers who are there to provide employment, whereas the second one is the employees who are ready to take the employment. So the term industrial relation basically explains the relationship between one category, that is employers, and another category, that is employees, that stems directly or indirectly from union employer relationship. Industrial relation, talking about the industrial relation concept, it is not very short term, or it's not a very small thing. When we talk about industrial relation, basically it covers a vast aspect in which we can talk about the several regulatory bodies that are present in the organization, who are responsible to solve various kind of disputes. Collective bargaining happens. Industrial relation has a control over the process of collective bargaining also, in which two parties are there to have a discussion on a certain issue and come to a agreement. In that particular process, again, the grievances are tried to reduce and settled out, so that the smooth functioning cannot be hampered. The another thing, role of management, unions, and government are analyzed in this particular concept. Labor legislations that are being framed by government and that are executed within the organization for proper functioning of the organization. The major aspect is the workers' grievance redressal system. Nowadays, we can see that in every organization, there is a kind of grievance redressal system that basically deals with the kind of queries or the kind of complaints that an employees have, and there should be a particular specific mechanism through which the queries or the complaints that are raised by the employees might be solved. Next is disciplinary policy and practices. When we are working in any organization, there are certain rules and regulations that we need to follow. If we are not following that, if we are not going through the code of conduct that is framed by the organization, then ultimately the management is bound to take any kind of disciplinary action against that particular employees, and that may result into several kind of punishments also. Now, the last one is the industrial relation training. Whenever we try to maintain the relationship, or we try to regulate the conditions of the employees in the organization, the management, what the management need to do, that they need to focus on the training part of the workers, so that the proper functioning of the organization may continue. Talking about the parties of industrial relation, we have also discussed in our previous slides that there are one category of employers who are ready to provide the opportunities, and there is another kind of category, those are employees who are there to take the opportunities. So first party is employer, or that is represented by employer association, and the second party is worker, that is represented by trade unions. And the third party, that is the most important, government or some other pressure group that uh, pressurize the industry or the employers to execute all the kind of legislations that are framed by the government for the sake of the employees. Definition, there are several definitions given by different kind of authors, in which the first definition is given by Daily Order. According to him, IR is a designation of a whole field of relationship that exists because of the necessary collaboration of men and women. And the second author, which we are going to discuss here, is the Armstrong has defined industrial relation as it is concerned with the systems and procedures used by the unions and employers to determine the reward for effort and other conditions of employment, to protect the interest of the employed and their employers, and to regulate the ways in which employers treat their employees. Means if we try to explain the definitions given by the two authors, several things can be concluded. The first is, when we talk about industrial relation, basically it is an outcome of the relationship of the employer as well as the employees who are existing in the organization. If a good relationship can be seen in the organization, then obviously it leads to harmonious relationship in the organization, and again that is set up by the joint effort of the employer as well as the employees. Industrial relation is based on the mutual compromise. When we talk about the mutual compromise, we are talking about the concept of the collective bargaining. Means both the parties will sit together if they have any kind of issue, if they have any kind of query, and they will try to reach to an agreement. And in that particular situation, both the party will try to compromise, and that is a situation of mutual compromise and adjustment that is benefited that is benefit that is for the benefit of both the parties, employers as well as the employees. And the last one, the state and the legal system also have a role to play in the maintenance of a conflict free industrial environment. As we have discussed that there is a third party in the organization, in the form of government, that is responsible to frame several kind of rules and regulations that needs to be executed within the organization for the proper functioning of the industry. Talking about the objectives of industry. Next is objectives of industrial relation. First objective is increase productivity. As we all are very clear that if smooth relationship between the parties existing in the industry will be there, then increased productivity we can see in the organization. But for that particular purpose, employees need to be motivated and they need to feel that yes, we are also a part of this organization. Reduce industrial dispute. This is the second objectives of industrial relation. Obviously there will be smooth functioning in the organization, there will be a good relationship between the parties of the industry, and grievances or queries or any kind of complaint, if any employee have, that is acknowledged at a proper time, then it leads to decrease in industrial dispute. The third is increase morale. If if employees are really very happy or very satisfied with the kind of environment they are getting in the industry, there all kind of disputes or there all kind of grievances are being sorted out, then it leads to increase in the morale of the employees. And again, these kind of employees try to minimize the wastage of the resources that we are using in the production of the product. Again, this will lead to establish a good relationship in the industry. If we will try to focus on the WPM concept, that is workers participation in management, workers will feel a kind of belongingness with the industry, and in that case they can give their 100% to the organization. The last objective, that is the most important thing, industry or the management needs to minimize the unnecessary interference of the government. This is one of the major objective that we need to follow whenever we are going to maintain a good relationship in any industry. Importance of industrial relation concept. What is actually importance or significance of industrial relation? Why we are always talking to maintain a good relationship within the industry? in industry, if we have a look at the industrial scenario, then industrial democracy need to follow. Means the employees must have the right to say about something. They they must get a kind of right, and if they want to share something, if they want to discuss something with their employers, they can go for that particular thing, which will again lead to economic growth and the development of the industry. And the economic growth and the development of the industry will lead to the growth and development of the country. If employee will be 100% satisfied with the kind of environment in which they are working, if they are getting flexi hours, then this will lead to the improved morale of the employees. And these kind of employee again may use the make optimum use of these care resources. And last importance of industrial relation is minimize a smooth environment or a good relationship between the parties of the industry tends to minimize minimum unfair practices within the organization. But if we try to maintain a good relationship within the industry in very continuation mode, then there are some requirements that need to be followed. The first one is top management support. We know that industrial relations are basically a function of a service. If we want a good service for our organization, then we need to serve our employees in a very good way, or we need to treat them as the family members of the organization. And in uh, that particular case, employees will also give their 100% to the productivity of the organization. The second one is the sound personnel policies, which constitute the business philosophy of an organization, and it tries to guide it in arriving at the human relation decisions. Policies can be successfully only when they are followed by the employees who are working in our organization at all levels from the top to bottom. But if if all the employees are not in the position to follow the rules, regulations and policies, then ultimately it somewhere it leads to the downfall of the organization. The third one is detailed supervisory training. Whenever employees are working in the organization, there must be a kind of supervision, and to ensure that organizational policies and practices are properly implemented and carried into effect by the industrial relations staff, supervisors must be trained thoroughly for these kind of purposes. In that case, what the employers need to do, they need to supervise the employees, but employees should not be in such a mode that the supervisors need to be trained thoroughly so that they can effectively supervise the employees working in the organization. Next one is follow-up results. A constant review of any process, any policy implementation must be there in the organization to look up to ensure that existing practices are properly evaluated, and they need to be checked that it is exercised in the organization in a proper way or not. So that's the end of this session. Thank you.